Hi, I'm Jordan from Chatbots, and today is the second episode of Future of Chatbots. And as a guest, I got Andrew from Chatfuel. He started with chatbots by building a Udemy course and on how to develop chatbots with Chatfuel. He got approached by the CEO of Chatfuel, and he asked, "Well, do you want to work at Chatfuel?" And as he says on his own LinkedIn profile, the rest is history. Andrew, welcome for coming. Can you have a small introduction of yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me on the show. As you said, you summarized it pretty well that I was in college. I was interested in marketing and chatbots, so I kind of taught myself how to use them. I then created a Udemy course, an online course teaching other people how to use them. CEO of Chatfuel, Dmitry Dumik, called me up one summer and was like, "Hey, do you want to work for us? Do you want to make videos?" And at the time, I had my own chatbot agency that I was running as well. And I was like, maybe I'll consider it. And it was funny that next day, after we had talked, was the day that I was going back to school. And basically, he wanted me to work for Chatfuel full time. And he didn't really say, like, oh, drop out of school or anything, but that was like almost implied. So it was just weird timing with it all. But yeah, so long story short, now I'm working at Chatfuel, and it's been quite the ride, to say the least.
What was the feeling you got when he approached you? Because you're just making videos with how to build a chatbot on Chatfuel, and all of a sudden the CEO of Chatfuel just approaches you and he wants that he comes to work for him.
Yeah, it was pretty surreal. It sounds funny saying that, like it's just a software, but when you're using something on such a regular basis, it's almost like if you're watching a TV show and you're like so emotionally invested in these characters, and then you like
Yeah.
see the actor in real life. It's like this break in the matrix type moment. So that's kind of what it felt like. And but now in hindsight, looking back, I'm not at all surprised. Our CEO is like one of the coolest people I've ever met. And so it's no surprise to me that he's kind of like always on the lookout for talent and everything. And it's funny. I don't know if you're familiar with Mary Catherine Johnson in the chatbot community, but she is kind of one of the key players, and she just posted this thing on Instagram talking all about her chatbot story and how she got into bots and everything. And both of us are kind of linked to and can credit Andrew Warner with helping us out a lot because, long story short, the course that I posted was in Andrew Warner's chatbot group, which is where Dimitri found my video. So big credit to another Andrew Warner, for helping me be where I am today.
Okay, awesome, nice story. Um, you now work for a long time already for Chatfuel, and a lot of people know you because you're, especially when people are in the Chatfuel community, you're like the face of Chatfuel. You make a lot of the video content on their YouTube channel, and you engage a lot with them. What do you think is coming in 2020 into the development of chatbots?
Yeah, so I think something that is super exciting, although I don't have any inside information on this, it's not confirmed. I'm just speculating. I don't
Yes.
know anything special, and even if I did, I couldn't mention it. But basically, I think something that's really exciting that I'm crossing my fingers, hoping that we're going to see in 2020 at F8, probably the annual Facebook Developer Conference, is Instagram chatbots.
Yeah.
I think that would be incredible. Obviously, we've used Messenger over the past 4 years, I believe it's been ish. We've used Messenger as this testing ground for chatbots, and now slowly we're seeing these features that give us hints that Instagram chatbots are coming. Like just the past week or two, I've seen rolled out in my Facebook Ads Manager a feature called Instagram Direct, where you can set up ads that take people to the Instagram direct messages as like a landing destination, which is awesome. So I think Instagram chatbots are probably the most exciting thing that I'm looking forward to. Again, whether or not we'll actually see them this year or ever, who knows? But it seems like Facebook is kind of laying the groundwork for this. And I think, again, the newsworthy event to do that at would definitely be F8. Which I don't know if I'm attending yet or not, depending on my school schedule. But I think that'd be awesome because I'm 99% sure, I'm terrible with dates, but in 2016, I believe, was when Facebook first announced the
Yeah.
Messenger API. So that would be cool, 4 years later, on such a beautiful numbered year as 2020 for them to release that. So I think that would be awesome. And the biggest reason why I say that is simply because Instagram has this very diverse audience from Facebook. Typically on Facebook, you, at least here in the US, like when I think of Facebook, I'm like, oh, it's just like moms on there talking with
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
And it's a typically older demographic, or like grandparents sharing, funny cat videos. And so to be able to target people on Instagram and use that automation with celebrities, influencers, e-commerce stores, I mean, the opportunity there is super exciting. So that's my main prediction, or what I would like to see for 2020.
Yeah, in the Netherlands, it's also the case. In the beginning of Facebook, there were a lot of young people on Facebook, and eventually uh, older people, the parents came to Facebook, and that's the moment when the younger people started like, oh, we need another platform, and they switched to
Exactly.
Instagram.
Yep.
um, and Instagram is a really useful platform. It's a completely new audience, much younger and much broader. But next to Instagram, Facebook also has WhatsApp. What do you think about that? Will they also launch WhatsApp at F8, or do you think they will wait with it?
Yeah, so it's a good question. Honestly, I haven't been keeping too up to date with WhatsApp because just here in the US, it's not very widely used. So I don't know a whole lot about it. But yeah, well, maybe you have the more information than I do, because I know our team is kind of keeping an eye on all this stuff, but I really don't know that much, because I believe WhatsApp has the API for Messenger, or not
Yes.
Messenger bots, but WhatsApp has a chatbot API, if you will. Um, but it's just like for businesses, or it's still in beta and it's not public, or what's the status on that? I'll kind of switch the interview over to you.
Yeah, the current status of the WhatsApp API is that you can use it for a chatbot, but the problem is that you need to request access, and
Hmm.
I think I requested access maybe 5 months ago, and I still didn't have it. I still
Hmm.
don't have it. So I think it takes a long time to actually use it. But there are already WhatsApp chatbots made, but it's not really open like Facebook Messenger.
Hmm.
Um, so I think that's the current status, and I think we're just waiting until everything becomes open, and also a lot of chatbot software companies will use WhatsApp as a channel to put a chatbot there.
And one more quick follow-up question on that. So with WhatsApp, obviously, again, I don't know a whole lot about it, but it's basically like an SMS texting service. So with the bots on there, I don't know if you've seen what any of them look like, but I assume there's, like on Messenger, there's rich elements. It's not like press 1 to respond and like go down this pathway, or press 2 for this. It's more rich.
No, that's the complete problem of WhatsApp. Like,
Mm,
I don't know what is mostly used in the United States, but for just messaging to your friends and to your family in the Netherlands, we primarily use WhatsApp. We
mm-hmm,
don't really use Facebook Messenger for this. But WhatsApp is really limited. You
mm-hmm,
cannot send cards, and you cannot send galleries. You can really only send videos, images, and text, basically.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Uh,
I think that's the same problem with Messenger. Well, to answer your question first too, and here in the US, at least personally, I use iMessage, or like Android and iPhones, they have like their own native texting
yeah.
apps. But I think that's part of the problem with Messenger, or was for a while, when they had the different, they had Messenger Lite for these developing countries typically, where the functionality was so limited. And now, since they've changed it so there's just one universal messenger app, and because of that, they've taken away some of the features that were more intensive, like the share location and the list plugin and all that. But
Yeah.
yeah, the richness versus like plain text is definitely an issue.
And do you know? Yeah, you use iMessage primarily.
Hmm.
Um, are there any other most used messaging apps? Because I always thought that WhatsApp was like the number one in general in the world, and the number two would be something like Telegram, which is
Hmm.
not used in the Netherlands. Um, but I never heard any friends using a lot of iMessage. Like they're
Yeah,
using it
yeah,
sometimes.
that's a good question. I don't know what that cultural difference is, but yeah, we, like I said, we all have, just on whatever phone manufacturer we have, they just have like their own native texting apps, and we use that. I mean, yeah, like people will use Messenger, but I don't know. But I know here at school too, like people who are not from the US, like they will also use WhatsApp. So I don't know if it's just to like talk to people back home who also use WhatsApp. I don't know if it's some sort of thing where if you use like the native texting app and then talk to or text somebody like in another country, if there's like charges with that, and WhatsApp's free. So I don't know, but a very interesting question.
Yeah. Um, Next to you got the Instagram chatbots, and we also got in March we got the new Facebook policy is coming into effect.
Hmm.
Do you think that if Facebook is expanding chatbots to also to the Instagram platform, do you think also this same policy will also go with it?
Yeah, another good question. I mean, it's taken Facebook 4 years around, or approximately 4 years now, to really uh, presumably finalize the policy here on the 24-hour rule and the +1 window and the different messaging tags and all that. So I don't know if at this point Facebook feels confident enough that like this is the solution and they'll just apply that to Instagram too if Instagram chatbots do become a thing, or if it'll kind of repeat the same process on
Yeah,
Instagram because it is slightly different and there will be like a different time frame of subscription messaging that they'll experiment with. So again, unfortunately, I don't know. I don't have the crystal ball, but if I were to speculate, I would say that Facebook would probably roll out a similar policy,
yeah,
but I imagine that they would alter it slightly just because of the nature of it being a different platform. But yeah, I mean, in Facebook's defense, it is obviously frustrating for bot creators to have to go through, all these changes and
yeah,
try to understand these policies where there's a lot of gray area. Although in their most recent rendition, I do think they kind of clarified that a lot by kind of being more hard line and saying like, hey, if you have questions about if what you're doing is okay or not, like kind of assume that it's not okay, like err on the side of caution. But again, to Facebook's defense, I think it's fair of them to do this, not only from a business perspective where they want you to pay them to reach your audience, but also just because we don't obviously want Messenger or Instagram, whatever platform it is, to evolve into like the email state of things
yeah.
where you just get so spammed with messages that, it's like, I don't even want to open my email. So yeah, I get it. And I think Facebook would create some sort of similar but unique policy to Instagram for subscription messaging.
Yeah. And how do you think, next to more channels, like more omni-channel marketing, how do you think chatbots in general will develop in 2020? Because I last week I saw the Gartner hype cycle of 2019,
Hmm.
and there I noticed that the chatbots were just like just before the big fall in the Gartner hype cycle. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yeah, I've heard it before. I know generally what you're talking about. I don't know the specific components of it, but yes, I have seen it before.
Yeah, because yeah, the general hype cycles in general, there's just a really huge peak in exciteness about a certain how do you say it, about a new thing. I don't recall the name now, recall the word, but a, a lot of excitement, and then just a huge fall of excitement, and then a slope where the excitement goes further and further, and we're just before that. So the excitement will just go down in the coming year. That's what Gartner um, predicts.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I think that's a valid concern, and perhaps in some ways people have higher expectations for chatbots because I feel like the public perception almost is like, oh, my business has this chatbot; it can answer anything under the sun for me. When in reality, I mean, I guess technically you could create a bot that does that, but whether or not that would even be valuable is another question. I think based on what we've seen at Chatfuel, the best bots are oftentimes the simplest, at least in terms of user experience. It doesn't mean that creating a simple user experience is easy to do or
No.
quick to do. It's definitely an iterative and intense process, uh, but yeah, I mean, I think that the hype is definitely a concern, but at the end of the day, like, not everyone should necessarily have a chatbot, and that's fine. I think the use cases that excel are those that are simple and that actually achieve a meaningful business goal. Even today, we still have people who, come to the platform and they want to do this grandiose chatbot that, it's like, sure, it sounds cool, but
Yeah.
what business objective is it actually accomplishing at the end of the day? Maybe it's just a kind of a capitalistic American philosophy, but it's like, in my view, like, if your chatbot isn't making you money and you can't measure that, like, what is its goal? And obviously that's not necessarily true if you're, working at a nonprofit and you're trying to, achieve social causes. But from a business perspective, I think that's the metric of success for a chatbot. And so I think one interesting direction to take chatbots, to answer your original question, is being more focused on statistics that actually matter, not just looking at vanity metrics like, oh, this many people, visited my chatbot, or this many people clicked through, but actually tracking, okay, this is, how much money I invested, this is how much I got out, and the chatbot's doing the rest on autopilot. So I think data is really important. It's kind of a mantra that we overlook at this point, but yeah. Bottom line is the chatbot should have and achieve some sort of meaningful business objective for it to actually be valuable. And if people are just building bots for the fun of it and they're not achieving those results, then yes, obviously, to go back to your main point, then the hype is valid, because
Yeah.
they're not, the chatbot isn't serving them by achieving any sort of value.
And I always say, when I'm reviewing different chatbot software, when a chatbot software doesn't have analytics, so you can track the results of the chatbot, don't use the software at all.
Mm-hmm.
Do
I
you
like that.
agree?
I like that. Yeah, I do. Again, it depends on your use case. Like, if your goal going in is just to like make a chatbot that tells jokes, then
Yeah.
like analytics don't. Well, analytics still would matter, but not in the same way. But yeah, and yeah, I think that's a great point to mention. I know at Chatfuel we have an analytics tab, but obviously our whole, like, reason for being at Chatfuel is always improving. So could the analytics tab we have be improved? Absolutely. And I think that's something that we'll be working on. Similar to the point that I made a minute ago, something really exciting is our cart reminders feature in Chatfuel. And I bring that up because like I was just saying, it actually tracks and tells you in a very
Yeah.
concrete and tangible way, hey, this is how much revenue we recovered that would have otherwise been lost if we hadn't sent these cart reminders. So things like that, that very clearly communicate the business value, the value proposition to our customers, I think is essential. It's not just like a bonus feature. It's it should be the industry standard.
Yes, and speaking of card reminders, I am a web developer from origin, and I also made a few web shops in which we also use the abandoned card emails.
Hmm.
Um, do you know whether the abandoned card in Messenger works way better than abandoned cards in email?
Yes, I don't have the exact stats offhand, but yes, I know the people on the team who have been putting together like our landing page for this, and I want to say it's something like they perform 10 times better in terms of like open rates, or I think
That's
it's open
huge.
rates, not necessarily like revenue recovery, but yeah, Messenger, sending out cart reminders, cart abandonment messages through Messenger is super effective, especially because we're still in the relatively early stages, I would argue, of Messenger. And so when people get that message on Messenger, obviously it kind of disrupts that normal pattern of, oh, I'm getting an email, I'm going to ignore it. So
Yeah.
part of it is the novelty, part of it is the convenience of just having that on Messenger. But yes, from what I've anecdotally heard, the cart reminders on Messenger do outperform those of email.
Yes, I always thought it, but I never was sure because I never tested it out myself. Um, I also got some. I got some few statements that I just looked up. Um, the first one is from Oracle. They said by 2020, 80% of businesses plan to utilize chatbots. Gartner said 85% of customer support interactions will be performed by chatbot by 2020. And Business Insider said 80% of businesses are expected to have some sort of chatbot automation. So, in general, Business Insider, Gartner, and Oracle said that in 2020, in average, in general, 80% of businesses will use some kind of chatbot. Do
Mhm.
you agree?
I do agree. I think there are stipulations to that. Originally, I was just kind of thinking like very narrowly about chatbots and specifically about Facebook. And I was like, there's no way like 80% of businesses have Facebook chatbots. But yes, more broadly, like, do they have chatbots on their website? Do they have customer support automation? Like, yes, I think that's accurate in terms of like 80, 85%. Um, but I would say that an interesting trend that we've noticed at Chatfield too is that a lot of businesses, basically it's a question of consistency or stability, if you will. So like a lot of businesses we've seen use Chatfield, but maybe they'll test it out for like a month and then they'll never really return to it or go back. So I guess the question that I would have for those companies that mention the stats is, uh, I don't believe that's like an active number of businesses necessarily, at least if we're talking in terms of Facebook. But if it's a number where, you know, they've used a chatbot maybe once, they've experimented with it, but maybe they're not actively using it now, then I would agree. Because again, that's an interesting observation that we've seen. But yes, overall, I would agree that the vast majority of businesses out there do use chat automation somewhere along the line in their business.
So you think like 80% of businesses ever touch the chatbot, you can say, and but the amount of businesses who uses chatbots consistently is less.
Yeah, I would say probably like 80%, 75, 80% of businesses have experimented with at least a chatbot. Maybe they're still using it, maybe they're not. But then yeah, or a Facebook chatbot if I didn't stipulate that. But yeah, more broadly, I would say that the 80% number is accurate if, you know, they're using a chatbot on their website or whatever. So put simply, I think that less businesses are using Facebook chatbots at this point, and more are still using the web-based chat experiences.
Okay, awesome. How is Chatfuel, because you're from Chatfuel, how is Chatfuel going to change in 2020? Can you say anything about that?
I can't say much, but I will say that I just recently gave a presentation last week about kind of the future vision that we have for the product, which I think is really exciting. And really, it revolves around two principles that I've kind of alluded to already. The first is simplification, basically simplifying the product in a way that benefits existing and new customers. Um, with an important stipulation though, which is without diluting the power, the flexibility of the product. So basically simplification without dilution. And then the second component is just what I was just talking about kind of with statistics, which is conveying business value in a more meaningful and clear way, rather than just kind of leaving it up to our users to decide what metrics are important and how to track that, and setting up all these user attributes every step of the way. So those are really the two components of this vision that we have, simplification and conveying value in a more meaningful way, because at the end of the day, that's what matters to people is value, not just messing around in a software. It all comes down to what value you can get out of the products that you're using.
Okay, and um, with also the Facebook policy changing, and it because Chatfuel is now really focused on Facebook Messenger. Do you
Mhm.
think that that will change in the future? That you will also expand to other channels? Because when Facebook announced the changing policies, you saw, for example, that Mobile Monkey said they were going to implement SMS. ManyChat was going to implement SMS and email. Are you also going to do such things, um or you can say anything about it?
Yeah, I can't say anything for sure. But what I will say is we're definitely always keeping the opportunities open or the doors open, whatever the proper expression would be. So yeah, we're always on the lookout for new opportunities. Right now, like you said, I would say our focus is overwhelmingly Messenger. But yeah, as interest shifts to new places like Instagram chatbots, for example, like obviously that's not something that we want to ignore and just be like, oh no, we only specialize on Facebook. So yeah, part of it is analyzing the market, seeing where the opportunities are, and then kind of pivoting or expanding from there. So I know it's not an exciting or sexy answer, but yeah, it's just a matter of evaluating the opportunities as they open up.
Yeah, totally get it. Totally get it. Awesome. Then almost my last question. What do you want to see in 2020 primarily? Because when I think of 2020, most chatbots that I know are just really simple question answering and not really more like advanced. Maybe some NLP is not even included. So I would like in 2020 like to see more advanced features of chatbots and more advanced chatbots in general. Do you have something in 2020 that you want to see?
hmm I would say something that I'd like to see selfishly for Chatfuel is a way to visualize and map out the conversations that you are creating in a more effective way. Right now, we have the block-based system, which works, but I'm a very visual learner. When I used to run my agency and I'd build bots for clients, I would always, as a first step, if it was anything like complicated, I'd always map it out using some sort of like flow chart system,
Yeah,
because again, I'm just very visual. Like that's what I need to fully like understand the flow of everything. So I'd like to see that selfishly for our product. Also something to do with chatbot templates. Obviously we have a marketplace on Chatfuel with templates, but kind of refining that and making it more sophisticated, because I feel like there's a lot of potential with templates, whether it's people just using them as a way to brainstorm for what features they want in their bot, or whether they actually copy that, like a group in that template, to their production bot. So I think there's a lot of potential there. I just feel like we haven't fully realized what that looks like yet.
yeah,
And then I would also say the NLP that you mentioned is a good idea. Um, if there's some way to make that more easily accessible, I think the people at Janus.ai are doing a good job with that, trying to kind of democratize, if you will, NLP in the bot without having to really be an expert at dialogue flow or
yeah,
anything like that. And then I would say probably the final thing that I would mention is just similar to NLP and making that easier for users to deploy in their bot is an easier way to deal with JSON and like web views, because both of those things unlock a whole nother dimension of functionality and features in your Chatfuel bot. So if we, can come up with some way to simplify that and make building web views and JSON integrations more accessible to people without them having to have coding knowledge, like we've done with the rest of the product, then that would be huge. But again, it's a matter of kind of analyzing where the demand is, what people actually need, versus just being like, oh, this is a cool feature, let's develop it, if there's no actual value behind it. So yeah, I know that was a lot to throw out, but I think those are kind of the main things that I would like to see.
Yeah, I would also really like the visual flow builder. Myself, I'm not really, when building chatbots, I'm not really visually, I don't care about it. I really like the block builder more. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but I know a lot of people would like a visual flow builder. And for the templates, I really agree with you, because I think a while ago I just made an e-commerce chatbot blog post about how to build an e-commerce chatbot, and I made a complete template on everything that was included in the blog post. But I had some issues with sharing it on Chatfuel, because you don't have a really open marketplace where everybody can share anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I would really like that also.
Yeah, we've kind of gone through some different stages of it. Originally, we just had it like fully open for submissions, although we still had a manual review process behind it. And I mean, part of it, I see where you're coming from, but then on the other side of the coin too, like if we just opened it up, like for some reason we get like all these random spam submissions. And so like if we just put up or like auto approved whatever we got, that would be that could be messy too. But yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. Lots of potential with templates, but we have to think of some better way to kind of sell people on them.
yeah, it can become really messy when you just auto proof anything.
Exactly. Unfortunately, but exactly.
Yeah. Um, do you have any remarks, questions, anything just say about the future of chatbots?
Uh, no, I mean, I think we've pretty exhaustively covered at least the predictions and what's coming down the pipeline. So I don't think I have much else to add other than I'm excited for the future.
Yeah.
And again, hopefully at F8 we'll see the unveiling, the pulling back of the curtain for Instagram chatbots. But time will tell. And yeah, otherwise, for everybody watching or listening who uses Chatfuel, thanks for using us and using our product. Hopefully you found value in it and you're able to share that with your clients, or if you're using it for your own business, enjoy all the success that it's provided you.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to F8 also, and yeah, I think this is the end of the podcast. Andrew, thank you for coming. For everyone who is listening, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Until next time.